Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! Wow! I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, apparently, according to this box. Spider-Man 2099 by Hasbro. I feel like I said that really loud, but that's okay. But yeah, here we go. We've got Spider-Man 2099 from the Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, apparently, wave. You know, Hasbro had the audacity to charge originally $25 for these figures. I managed to get all of them from this wave for about, well, not all of them from the wave. The figures I got from this wave, I managed to get them for $18, because when Target I went to, for some reason, was selling them cheaper. I don't know why that happened, but it happened. But I'm going to review this figure as if it cost $25, because that's what Hasbro asks for. You know, I could have got it for free, but that's not how much Hasbro asked for. They asked for $25, so I'm going to be reviewing it as a $25 figure. And like I was saying, them charging $25, they still have the audacity to not change, or they didn't even change the logo to say, you know, not Part 1. And they still had the audacity to charge you for $25 for this. And all you get is like two hands. Whoop-de-doo. On the back of the box, they don't give you a read-up on these figures anymore, which that totally sucks, honestly. I know to some people a read-up may not be a big deal, but to me, it's something that was always part of Marvel Legends, and having it removed just kind of feels dumb. I mean, I guess they didn't want to pay some intern to type in like 10 words to say, Spider-Man 2099 is ripped and he tries to kill Miles in one scene or whatever, you know, like something, you know, but no, they're like, you can't be bothered, it's too much work. You know, but the other figures in the wave you get is Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man 2099, Jessica Drew, Spider-Punk, The Spot, and Peter B. Parker. And out of all these, I'm definitely 100% never going to get Peter B. Parker. You know, unless I somehow find it, like, in a Walmart parking lot, then I'll probably, you know, take it. But I'm not going to buy it because out of the principle of what it is, it's basically the first version of the figure from Into the Spider-Verse, just slightly different sculpted ab muscles. Basically, the only difference is the ab muscles here, and he has feet and a head from probably the toy version. Or it's not the same one, but it looks kind of similar. And I also made a custom that is infinitely better because it transforms. But either way, let's pop this guy out of the packaging. He looks pretty cool in it. I do like the retro style packaging, which at the same time, I do like how it looks because it looks like the retro style packaging. To compare that, we've got a card back here for Peter B. Parker. From the, or not Peter B. Parker, just regular Peter Parker from the retro wave. The first one, I think, I don't remember. I don't know Hasbro stuff. I tend to forget Hasbro stuff right after I do stuff related to it. But either way, let's take this guy out of here. Like I was saying, the retro packaging doesn't really work for characters that are not retro at all. Like how they're making a new Spider-Man wave that has like a female Daredevil. And other stuff like a Ben Reilly that has like no chin. You know, take the hands out of here too. You know, that having retro packaging, it's not retro figures. I mean, well, that one does have modern figures in it, but it's not a retro wave. But they still give it retro packaging because they know idiots are gonna buy it. Wow, I'm very harsh today. Hey, I'm being honest, guys. I mean, if you buy it, you're not an idiot, but there's going to be people that are like, oh, it's retro card packaging, I'm going to buy it just for that own reason, even though I don't care about the characters. But either way, here we go. We've got Spider-Man 2099 here. A lot of people say 2099. I just like saying 2099. To me, it just sounds cooler. Are his legs crooked? I feel like this might be a me problem, where whenever I have a figure like straightened up here, I always feel like they're crooked. Or is the camera crooked? I don't know. But either way, out of the package, he looks pretty cool, and you get 4 total hands with this guy. I don't care. That's honestly whatever. Come on. Let me switch it so you can see my beautiful physique. I look kind of awkward here because I have to be like hunched over with my chair low because my chair goes too high up. I need to be like arm level for this. But yeah. What was I saying? I don't remember. But either way, let's take a look at the face. Hopefully it wasn't important. Let's be honest. Nothing I say is important here. Take a look at the face here. It looks pretty cool, except for that big, like, crease line where they, like, I guess, remove the mold. And you can see the same on this side. You know, let's say it's an effect. Same thing on the neck here on both sides. But as far as the head, they did sculpt, we can zoom in ×3. They did sculpt the red parts. They are a bit raised, and then they put some barely noticeable lines in the mask here. They actually look more pronounced on this side, on his right side. You can see like the lines right there. Kind of looks where it goes to these points, like the angry kind of Spider-Man eyes. It looks thicker on that side, which is kind of weird. Or side of the head. He has an interesting jaw. It's kind of like kind of indented there. He has kind of like bony cheeks a little bit. The back of the head is nothing. I actually did cut plastic out here on the neck because the original head could go up like that high, but now it can go up, you know, like a dumbbell joint is supposed to. Oops, I got a notification there. Straighten his legs out here. Let's move the camera back. As far as the other sculpting, he's got this sculpting design here, which looks, I mean, decent. You know, if we compare it to the toy version, I did add white wash into the lines so it doesn't just look like a big Happy Meal toy. And honestly, this one having more paint apps is kind of weird. And you know, when I did the original review of this figure, along with the other Across the Spider-Verse toy figures, I did say how oh man, there we go. Oops, they fell over. I called it when I said the toy versions are going to have debatably the same, if not more, sculpt than the Marvel Legends version, and I was right. I called it. I said it. I also said that I'm not going to buy them because the toy version, you know, it gets the job done and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm a sucker and I bought them anyway, though. So look who's talking. but yeah, this one has more sculpt on it. They sculpted all the details on here. And on the movie, this does look kind of more accurate. I feel like this kind of body, like the shape of this body is a bit more accurate than this one. Like the size of stuff is pretty good because he's a pretty big looking dude. This one is not as accurate, but I wish this one had all this kind of sculpt and detail and stuff on it. That would make it, you know, better. Because this way it just looks like a plain big Happy Meal toy. You know, a lot of people have been saying that about Hasbro figures, how they just look like big Happy Meal toys. And I feel like that is how it works. Like, look at Gwen. She also does look like a Happy Meal toy. The only intricate design on this figure's body, aside from the head, is just this web pattern, which McDonald's would not do because that's a little too much work. And then the shoes. And, of course, the head sculpts. But everything else is something McDonald's could do, except they don't have this kind of posability. But as far as, like, the paint apps and sculpt, it's not something a Happy Meal toy could do. You know, back in the day when McDonald's, or it was actually Burger King, they made these, like, bobblehead toys for, like, Spider-Man 3. There was a black suit Spider-Man figure that had almost the same amount of sculpting as the actual Marvel Legends black costume Spider-Man. That's not very flattering there. But it had almost this amount of sculpting on its legs. And, like, it had the cobweb pattern or the honeycomb pattern. Yeah, honeycomb. It had the honeycomb pattern on the parts that would be blue on the regular Spider-Man costume. It actually had those sculpted on. So Burger King, like, those kind of, like, kids' meal toys have more sculpt than this. That was also 2007 when I guess toy companies tried more, except Hasbro. They gave up right away. But as far as other stuff goes, I'm just going to get the nitpicks out of the way here. Another one is this huge crease that he has right here. Or not crease, this huge black line. And you can't remove the cape. I like that it's this high up. Because the 2099 using the Pete Spider-Man body has the cape like down here. And it looks really stupid. It looks more like you pinned a pillowcase to your back and called it a day. Whereas this one, I like that it has this shape to it. Unfortunately, it does make the arms, if you move them in straight, this one goes in all the way. This one, the arm has to be pushed at an angle, or you're going to bend these spikes out of position. If you want his arms, you can't have his arms standing. You can't bring his arms in all the way without making this one look weird, or without rotating his arm like this. So that's kind of the farthest in you can put his arms without messing up either of these two thin plastic pieces. But that part just looks really dumb. Like, you couldn't... Come on, Hasbro, what are you doing? There's the only sculpted detail to speak on the back here is this design, which, I don't know, it feels like the design is not as pronounced on these parts. On the shoulder, it's more pronounced and stuff. On the head, a bit more. But on the... Pretty much everything on his back and his chest and the stomach here, pretty much everything on his torso, doesn't look as deep in, you know what I mean? Compare that to the shoulder here. The shoulder, those details look more pronounced. I mean, these look kind of pronounced as well, but I don't know, something about the shoulder details just stick out more than, like, the chest. These are very tiny details. Like, from here, you can't even see the design on his pecs right there. as far as that goes, the arm has this weird like cut right there. I don't know if that's, oh, that's probably on purpose, because the ones I got before this, or no, did I get ones before this? Or no, yeah, I returned all the figures to the original Target. I actually returned this one too, just with the rest of them. Those are, I made like 4 videos explaining how I ended up getting these figures for 18 bucks. And it's like a whole like 4 or 5 videos that kind of basically was the chronicle for it. And yeah, I returned this one too, and I got this one for 18. But there's more detail here. Yeah, look at that. I don't know why the one here on the arm, at least to me, this one looks more pronounced than this one. Finger's kind of shaky. I don't know why. There's like a little line right here. That's oh yeah, that's a sculpted detail. Sometimes I don't know if like the plastic is damaged. Like right here, the plastic looks kind of marked, because when you kick the legs and spread them to the side, it makes a mark. Because the plastic on these figures feels really, really like cheapy. That if you you know, if you were to like hit a corner of, like if you were to hit a corner of like a wall with this or something, or like a desk, you would probably make like a mark on it, which is kind of dumb. It doesn't feel as like honestly, this one, it does feel like cheapy plastic, but I would rather have this kind of plastic than this. Like, at least for the torso part here. These arms are kind of like flimsy and stuff, or like kind of like gooey. But like the torso part feels higher quality than this. This is, I don't know, it's hard to explain. As far as the feet, they painted the bottom of the feet, and there's no sculpting here. There's like a tiny line that separates the blue from the red. Here on the knee as well, it also does have, or like below the knee, so is this design too. This came out looking pretty clean, but I don't know what it is. I think maybe the paint was like too thick or something, because they had to paint a sort of light red on top of a not super bright or not super light blue. So I guess they had to put a lot of thick paint that it kind of made the details be kind of hidden. Because here, where they didn't have to paint the shoulders. These shoulders were red, the red plastic, so the paint doesn't look as globby. Here on the arm spikes, they look pretty cool. The toy version had them going here on the sides. I don't remember off the top of my head which one is more accurate, whether they're on the back of his forearms, or they're on the front, or like on the side. I kind of like the way this one looks, because you can always see them. I don't remember which one's accurate. But I do like the way it looks, though. Like, it looks pretty cool. There's also like the sculpted detail here on the gauntlets, and the paint looks kind of sloppy in parts here, kind of messed up right there, kind of bit some issues here and there. Little more there as well. It's not super noticeable, and then there's like a gap that's noticeable there. There's a gap there where there's no red paint right where the two pieces connect, where the spike connects to it. And speaking of these spikes, they're super flimsy. I wish they were more durable plastic like this. Like even if they were thicker, you know, I'm sometimes okay with sacrificing a little bit of accuracy in order to make the figure better. You know, for example, if they have to make these designs, if they have to make these pieces a little thicker, like even like maybe like 2 millimeters, even 3 millimeters thicker, just for them to not feel as flimsy. You know, if they were like a little more durable, like, you know, like his coat here, or like his cape, if it was to be a little bit more durable, kind of like that way they wouldn't warp as much. Because if you have this guy laying down like this for an extended period, for like a couple hours, you'll come back and these are going to be warped, which is unfortunate though. But as far as the rest of the figure goes, all the blue is just completely smooth. There's no texture on this, which is kind of dumb. Also, I noticed this a little bit ago, like yesterday. I think I didn't notice this before, but he has like these like, looks like vents or something on here, on like his rib cage there on the side, and here as well. You know, it looks pretty cool. And as far as like the muscles on this guy, the muscles look cool. You know, I feel like he very much has a superhero kind of body. You know, he's got like the broad shoulders here. He's got the big head, big pectorals, kind of like the V shape for the torso here. Like kind of like muscular looking thighs here. But then below the knee, they get really skinny, which it is accurate. It's not like it's wrong, but you know, the proportions of his body look pretty accurate. So in that way, it looks good. But you know, having like the V-shaped torso, like how superhero bodies look, you know, like comic book characters, they kind of have that V-shaped body. You know, a little bit kind of like Sinister Six Spider-Man. I have to bring this guy because he's my favorite Spider-Man. One of my favorite Spider-Man figures. You know, you see they both have the wide shoulders, big pectorals, and then like a V-shaped waist. You know, this one obviously doesn't have, you know, very realistic human proportions. Proportions aren't a big deal to me, as long as they're trying to make it accurate to source material. And this one does look pretty accurate. One thing I will say, which it's not too big of a deal, at least on this figure, is that Hasbro, they barely ever sculpt like muscles like on the body parts. They're mostly just flat surfaces. You can see some definition like right here. You can see like a gap there here on the thighs, but overall Hasbro never really sculpts any sort of muscle detail. They mostly look just like not muscular characters. Mostly they do pectorals and six-pack and then a stick and a bicep, but that's pretty much about it. You know, you don't have much leg definition here. But as far as that goes, it's not a big deal for me. Some people it is, but that's just kind of one thing I want to point out. Oh, another thing I want to point out here, which is kind of weird, is if you lift this up, you look at his butt here. It looks really weird. I mean, in the movie, they never really show his butt here, because obviously his cape blocks it, and also, you're never really going to see a superhero's butt in most instances, unless it's for some kind of dumb MCU joke. You know, like the Captain America, this is you know, America's cheeks, as they say. I mean, it is funny, but it's also stupid. Like, look at that. And then when you rotate it, it is like a very clear, like, square cut line right here, which looks kind of weird for the butt. Come on, focus here, dude. Focus on the butt. Yeah, like that. That looks kind of weird when you rotate it, but that's not too big of a deal there. Yeah, there's some people that don't like this sort of joint like this, but I don't think it looks too bad. Like they say, oh, it looks bad because it's cut weird. To me, that's not really a big deal. But what is a big deal is when you bend the Zap Crunch back, which, by the way, that Ab Crunch kind of sucks. You can see that there's no sculpting, not even paint here. So on a $25 figure, I know I paid $18, but it still costs $25, so that's what counts. They didn't sculpt any detail here on it. I mean, they barely sculpted anything on it. They only did, like, the bare minimum of raising the red parts and then having, like, the creases in it, or, like the grooves, the lines into it. But they didn't, like, add any wash or anything, so they're almost not visible. Like, here on the pectorals, like these parts here, you don't see them at all. You do see them slightly here, but most places you don't. You know, they could probably have just painted the red on and then just added those lines, and you probably won't notice the fact that these are raised. They are raised, except very, very subtly, or I don't think they are raised. I think it's the paint they use that makes it look like they're sticking out a bit. But either way, let's go over the articulation on this guy. So the head can look up, not all the way, never mind. So like I said, the head could look up maybe about that high. Like I said, I cut off plastic here on the neck. It does have a gap when you see him from behind, which that does not bug me. That's fine. But now we can look up all the way. He could always look down all the way. You could pivot side to side and stuff, you know, ball joint head. It's weird that Hasbro seems to not know how to do double ball hinge or double ball joint necks. They always seem to mess it up. Like, if you're not going to be able to do, like, use that kind of, like, import kind of tech, like having double ball joints, one in the head, one in the neck, then just use the disc hinge, because you're just hindering your figure because you're not using that posability right. As far as the arms, they rotate all the way around. They go up, not 90 degrees. They should honestly go up higher. And, you know, if these are going to be very much ball-shaped, they should have just gone the Toy Biz route and just make the arms fully ball-shaped. Do you have any Toy Biz figures? Yeah, I do, like this guy. Like, you know, like they should have totally made them ball-shaped, so you have, like, all this, I mean, all of them can rotate around, but have, like, this full going up 90 degrees arm motion. That should be there if you're going to make them ball-shaped. Or, like, make this joint deeper so it can bend up higher. The bicep swivel, you know, works like it's supposed to. You get a double bend in the elbow that doesn't quite meet perfectly, but it's not too bad either. You get a, oops, come on. One of these elbow joints, the top elbow joint is pretty tight. You do get a hinge in the wrist and a rotation. The ab crunch, like I said, it goes forward decently. It goes back kind of decently. Not the best. For $25, it should do better, honestly. You rotate here in the waist. The legs kick up. Barely, or not up completely. They should be able to kick up like about that high. You come out to the side, they don't really go back at all. You can't do the splits on a Spider-Man character, which it should be able to. You get thigh rotation, which, you know, works. Oh, look at that. It makes like a weird noise. Yeah, look at that noise, guys. It makes like a weird, like weird kind of rubbery noise. You get a double bend in the knee, which isn't really that good. Or it's not perfect. It should be perfect, honestly. It's not really much better than, like, a deep single joint, and the foot goes forward kind of barely. It goes back all the way, and you have an ankle pivot, which, you know, a lot of people talk about Hasbro ankle pivots like it's some awesome kind of posability, when honestly, it's most of the time it's not. Like, if we spread out his legs here, that's about the widest stance you can give him with his feet still on the ground. Like, if you move him out any farther, like if you want to have him, like a pose I like to kind of put him in, like a lunging, like, also I do this for Carnage and Venom as well, kind of like lunging characters, like this. If you want him some kind of pose like this foot is not going to be flat on the ground unless you angle it like this. But at that point, just give, like, just get rid of that joint, you know? Like, this guy doesn't have ankle pivot, and this boot cut basically does the same as this. It has just as much range. It even has the toe joint for it. So the ankle pivots don't really work too much. That's basically just a boot cut that rotates the foot and have it hinge down. It's like an ankle pivot hinge that is honestly just fine. And he still doesn't stand too good. His feet are kind of small, so he doesn't stand too good, and he's kind of top heavy. But that's just how the characters in the movie look. So it's not, I mean, you know, Hasbro could have probably, you know, done something to prevent that. Like, give him a stand. You know, maybe throw in a stand there. Throw in, like, obviously, like, his head, like an unmasked head. Throw in, like, multiple capes, you know, multiple hands. His, like, Power Ranger Morpher Dimension Traveler. I don't know what it's called. Like, the thing he uses to, like, travel through, like, different Spider-Verses. Include that, you know. Come with more stuff than just basically nothing. Because for me, interchangeable hands, I mean, yeah, they're cool, but I feel like you only get, like, 4 total hands. That's not really a lot of stuff. He should also come with claws, relaxed hands maybe, like, you know, more stuff, you know, that he doesn't come with. I don't like web accessories because that's kind of dumb, and Hasbro doesn't know how to make good accessories. So, I mean, it's kind of Hasbro's fault for not really being good at doing stuff. So, it's kind of their fault. I mean, obviously, it's their fault. It's not like it's anybody else's fault that they don't give good accessories. But but I will say, I do prefer these open hands. The paint on the inside is very good. There's like a little bit of sloppy paint here and there. I will say the inside of the hand is a much brighter red, more accurate color than this, which looks very dull. They got paint all over the non-crystal shapes on his knuckles there. It's still less bad on this hand compared to this one. You can see there's like red paint kind of like clumping off right there. You can see that there. If it focuses, come on, compared to this hand. It's, you know, it's kind of unfortunate how sloppy Hasbro figures are. I never really noticed this before until I started doing reviews that I realized, not even like when I started doing reviews, but just like in the past couple months since they made like they had the big price hike from like 18, because at my Walmart and Target they were always like around 18ish, which is still a ripoff. They should be like, you know, 15 or 12. But ever since Hasbro raised them to like 24, I've noticed that, wow, these figures either dropped in quality substantially since they raised the price, or they've always been this mediocre and I just didn't know. You know, I think like the Spider-Man 3 figures, people like to take a hearty dose of piss on those guys, but honestly, those ones have more sculpt than most of the stuff they're doing nowadays. Like, MCU figures have a lot of sculpt, but nobody cares about them, so, you know, it's whatever. But either way, that's all for this video. Oh, also, because people like to do size comparisons, or not size comparisons, I'm just going to show off the other figures I have from this wave. We got Miles Morales here, that his ankles are kind of dumb, so he doesn't stand. We have Spider-Gwen, whose ankles are also kind of dumb, so she doesn't stand. Come on, man. And then we also have, I was supposed to say Cyborg Spider-Woman. This is not Cyborg Spider-Woman. This is, Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. Or did you call her Jessica Drew on the packaging? She's called Spider-Woman in the movie. None of these characters can stand. She's the only excuse because she's pretty heavy. Her hair is very heavy, and then the stomach as well. So she's the only one that, but honestly, you know, I feel like if a figure can't stand, it failed the basic principle of, you know, standing, which is what a figure's supposed to do. If you can't have it standing up normally, then you already kind of failed as a company if your figure can't stand up right. I will say, I'm not a big fan of this. It was mostly just an impulse buy because, you know, I'm a sucker. But yeah, I know I did a poll like maybe about a week ago, maybe like 11 or 12 days, saying, hey, which one do you want me to review? And you guys voted for this one. And it took me until now to actually do it because, I don't know, these figures are kind of uninspired and they don't feel super fun to review. So it's kind of weird. But either way, that's all for this video. Let me think about this figure, and I will see you guys in the next review. Wow.